Welcome everyone, I am One True Brick, coming at you with another LEGO Exo-Force review. Today, we will be starting the final wave of Exo-Force, the Deep Jungle Era. This is set number 8111, the River Dragon. It was released in 2008 for approximately $8, though nowadays you can find it for around $12-ish. Unfortunately, the trend with this year, and I believe this was due to low supplies of this particular wave's sets, there is a little bit of a markup, more so than you see with the first 2 years. In that case, this set costs around $12 on Bricklink or eBay. Not too much of a markup, but it is one of the smaller sets, and you will notice with some of the more medium-sized and larger sets that there is a more significant increase. Oh, also, it had 112 pieces, depending on which version of the set you got. Now, I will talk about that a little bit once we get into the set. First off, I'm really glad that finally Hayato has a set that is on the small side. Although there is the fact that he was included in the Gate Defender and the Gate Guardian and the White Lightning, all of which were kind of on the small side. All of them are included in much larger sets, and it is kind of designed to be a battle-in-the-box style figure. So in order to get Hayato, a lot of the time, you would have to spend a larger chunk of money on a large set. I believe the cheapest that he's included in prior to this year was $25 with the Golden Guardian, which is also drastically marked up. So the most realistic set to purchase him in is either the Aero Booster, which was $30 and nowadays is like $40 or $50, or the Gate Assault set, which is around probably $30 or $40 as well. So I'm glad that he's included in this one, so you have an easy way to get access to the figure, as long as you don't mind the deep jungle style of torso. The core build for this set really kind of took the best of what worked with previous years. So the leg design and kind of core torso build was very similar to the Cyclone Defender build of the Golden City era. And then the cockpit right here, how we have kind of a vertical design with a canopy that comes across the top, that is more reminiscent, I think, of the 2006 Split Mountain era with the Gate Defender and Uplink style of build. So they kind of combine both. And then finally, in the upper shoulders, we have this new design that is actually included in all three of the smaller human battle machine designs, and that is they take this ball and socket joint and then stick an axle through the arm here to hold the shoulder in place, and that is definitely an interesting design. However, unfortunately, I once again have to point out the lack of elbow or knee articulation. I think this could have worked just fine if they had done the same thing that I recommended doing with the Cyclone Defender set, and that is swapping this piece out for a couple of ratcheting pieces, allowing it to properly bend like an arm does. And I don't think it really would have costed them that much more to include it in the set. And quite honestly, there's no real reason not to. There's a little bit of less stability involved. However, I think especially with a set this size, there really isn't a whole lot of concern about stability. I have tried swapping out those pieces myself, and it does hold up. Obviously, if you wave it around, it's going to flap back and forth, but so will a lot of ball joints and other ratchet joints, like the 2006 era ratchet joints. So I really don't understand why LEGO didn't do this. I think there's nothing that can be gained from reducing the articulation. So minus points there, that's for sure. So the new upper arm design is shared in all of the 2008 sets. The only major difference between them is this joint is attached at a different angle. With both the Assault Tiger and Chameleon Hunter, this is more rotated out to have the arm appear more bulky, and I appreciate how they've rotated it in so that it still gives that nice look, but doesn't look quite as bulky, so it fits the smaller set design. They've reused that build, but modified it just enough to work with all three sets, depending on the style that's included. Also, this piece right here is a size 5 Technic angle instead of a size 4, like I think is included with both of the other two sets. So there are also turbines on the shoulders, as you can see, which is a little bit interesting. So there is a W up here on the shoulder piece, and if you're wondering what that stands for, so we've got the A's mean air, the C means combat, we've got the AT, assistance and technology, but we've never seen any other letters. Oddly enough, aside from Rio's hybrid rescue tank, they decided this year that they were going to have 2 brand new types and just throw out all the other ones. And this particular one, the W, stands for water. So this battle machine is actually designed to swim in water. And it's definitely an interesting concept. It fits with the jungle era. It definitely seems a little overpowered to me, unless the robots design some sort of way to fully encase their electronics. It is shown in one of the comics that Hayato just grabs one and dives into the water, and his battle machine is able to withstand the water, but the robot is not, and it short circuits. So it's very interesting. It allows for Hayato to have a bit of a different mobility of attack. The strange thing to me is the choice of character to do this with. I personally feel like Takeshi or maybe Rio, out of all of the characters, would have fit this best, because both Hikaru and Hayato both are pilots that tend to have flying battle machines. Hayato in particular really makes a big deal about how much he loves flying. So being underwater just seems very counterintuitive to his character. Maybe that's the point. Maybe they were aiming to flesh out the character more. Although there definitely was a lot of focus on his character in 2007, so I do think they probably should have just stuck with the character that was built up, created a flying battle machine, or at the very least one that can hover or go on the ground. Perhaps this set's original design was to have the ability to fly, because turbines can be used just as well for flying as they can for water. So lastly, let's talk about the functions of this figure. So the interesting theme that the Deep Jungle era really went for was combination battle machines. I'm struggling to really think of a way to put this. So every single battle machine had what was called a mini robot, mini drone, whatever, included in the battle machine's build that could detach from it. Also, several of the battle machines also had like yet another secondary detachable functionality, whether it be like a tiny little jet or a rocket or a pod or something like that. This particular one has a mini robot right here, and the way that it works is you just pull this little rod out of that axle hole, and then you have your little robot here. Now, the way that I fold mine up in my various battle machine builds can be a little bit different than what the instructions show. I personally just like folding up in a particular way that makes it look a little bit less obvious as a robot, because I think some of them, you can just take one look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that looks totally like a little robot. So this one right here looks like this, and apologies, there's a piece missing on the opposite side. I don't know where that ended up. But you guys, I'm sure, can imagine the other one being there. So this is a little, like, sniper drone. It's got kind of this gun right here, but then also a cannon down the middle that allows it to fire at enemy robots. Out of all of the Battle Machines mini robots, I would say this one's actually my least favorite. All the other ones have a mini robot that detaches that doesn't really take away from the functionality of the larger Battle Machine. Hayato loses the entire arm of the River Dragon, making it so you only have the one arm right here. Now, I guess it's so that he can have like a dual ability of having like being able to fight one robot while this one goes and fights another, or fights a mini drone from another robot battle machine. But at the same time, I really think it detracts from the look. I wish they would have had it like more attached on top of the arm, at the very least, allowing this central rod kind of to stay there so he can, have like another gun on the other arm. But whatever. Lego made the decision to do that, and I can't change that now. But what I can do is show you Hayato's minifigure. So one thing I want to preface real quick. One of the cons for this set, and I'm not really sure how they could have fixed this, but it is a con nonetheless. This cockpit is not very well attached. The rest of the battle machine is pretty sturdy, aside from the antenna, and I've talked at length about that in the 2006 era when just about every set had one of those. But if you close this cockpit and press just a little bit too hard, this piece is very fragile on top and can pop off or sit there in such a way that if you lift it, it falls off. But Hayato's sitting here inside, and once again with this year, he gets his own torso print, which is appreciated considering the first year he shared one with Hikaru. And this one's kind of got this undergarment that's like white, and then on top of that there's some armor pieces right here, and then these blue hoses that kind of represent like an oxygen mask almost. So there you go. Once again, they have the same head print and head or hair mold, same color. The only thing that changes is that torso. I do wish at this point, 2008 was starting to get into the year when Lego would have fully printed minifigures, so at the very least have a back print and some leg print, but unfortunately they decided not to. And I guess it fits in with the previous years a little bit better, but I still wish that at this point they would have started doing back prints at the very least. I think it'd really add some character to the model. So that's actually it. The thing about this particular year is there was only one comic that really summarized the story that happened because of Exo-Force's sad ending that didn't really get fully completed. There wasn't really a whole lot of story content, and so there weren't any books. There was supposed to be one book, and there was supposed to be at least a few more comics, I assume wrapping up the story. But the way the story goes is the characters all enter the deep jungle to go hunt down Mecha 1 once and for all, and recapture Sensei Kiken because he was captured somewhere during the events of the Golden City era, unbeknownst to the humans. So they're trying to go and rescue him, and then the robots and humans clash in a battle that has been going on for 11 years, and sadly we'll probably never see its ending. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot of story content beyond that that I talked about within the scope of this review, so I'm not going to be doing that at the end. One other thing before I go that I should mention, oddly enough, and I can't really figure out why, Lego decided to have dual printed manuals for the smaller sets. This really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Typically, when you see a set that has multiple instruction manuals, it's when it's in a much larger set, and I can't fathom why they decided to do that. One other thing worth noting, and I just want to check and make sure it's the case in this one. It may not actually be. This is not one of the ones that has something different in them. Some of the other sets have multiple possibilities for the build. You can get slightly different parts depending on at what time you bought the set. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ignore that. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next review. I will be looking at another set that, oddly enough, has a couple different names. Depending on where you look, it's either called the Arachnoid Stalker or the Battle Arachnoid. So I will be taking a look at that next week. Thanks! Bye! This one, as you can see up front, and another thing that I really like about these battle machines is it really, it adds a little bit